radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesianicristo.
You're watching INCRadio. 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 Central Valley, California. Central Valley, California. Central Valley, California. INCRadio. Central Valley, California.
Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of our viewers today. We're happy to be back for another episode of INCRadio, Central Valley, California. Today, we have a very special topic, and it's about the power of showing up. How simply being present and being there can massively affect your life and the life of others. Imagine, just how many doors have opened, not because you are talented or that you have the skills, but because you were simply present or simply you were there to have shown up for the first time. And that's what we're going to talk about here today, and to hear stories about the power of showing up here on INCRadio, Central Valley, California. Today, I'm joined with me by Jamar and Chris. Thank you guys for joining me on the show today. And as always, we ask that you continue to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And be sure to turn on that notification bell so you can stay tuned in on everything INCRadio, Central Valley, California. Some upcoming activities that we've had are coming up is our musical evangelical mission that will be happening on the 30th or tomorrow. And a lot of us have roles in that, so we're looking very forward to participating in our musical evangelical mission. And on August 31st, our Seaside Serenade a cappella group from Santa Maria will be launching their music video and their show for Resonate this coming Sunday. It is at 5:30 in the morning. If you can, please do your best to support our friends from Santa Maria who worked very hard in putting that production together. We do look forward to supporting you and for everyone to show their support for our friends in Santa Maria and for the district of Central Valley, California. And with that being said, guys, we have a bunch of activities to show up for, and what better way to be able to talk about that by the power of showing up, right? Life-changing things can happen for just simply being there when you may not want to, or even when you want to, right? And we may have made friends or had good opportunities come along that way. And so our first question for this topic, and I'm going to go ahead and read, right? When you hear the phrase, the power of showing up, what's the first story or moment that comes to your mind for you?
I guess I'll go first. For me, Mark, my story for the power of showing up is when I became the district video president for Central Valley, California. So I mentioned this a couple times already before in the stories, but how it all went is our CFO overseer at the time, he called all the district officers in a meeting, in a WebEx meeting. And then from then on out, he was like, all right, who wants to be the president for each CFO? And then, us being all there, we were just all hesitant. So I was like, maybe not for me. And then he put it up to a vote, and I got majority vote. So here I am. Actually, it's been a little over a year now. So.
And I was in that meeting too, and so I kind of get where you're coming from. How did it feel at that moment? What was like your expectations going into it, and how did your mindset shift? Thinking like, oh man, I have to be able to be there more often now. I have to be able to show that I can be there, so others can follow the same.
So my mindset, like, it shifted. Like, I was already a district video officer before.
Mm-hmm.
I was, for the most part, I was showing up to all the activities that we had. But now, like, since I became the district video president, it's not just showing up and helping out a little bit. You gotta help lead the activity and all the brethren under your care and to have successful activities.
And being a good example, as you are, Chris, man, it's honestly very motivating. Shout out to my man, Chris. Jamar, what about you? Was there any stories like that?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind was actually when I entered the CNA program. So before entering, we would have to take like like an entrance examination. I remember at the time I was fighting if I wanted to go or not, because at that time I was battling on what I wanted to do for my future career. And I actually went. I passed. I had got my CNA license after like 6 months, and now I've been working as a CNA, trying to get into the nursing program. So I think that's been about 10 years now, and I've been loving it ever since.
And I'm really happy for you, Jamar. It does take a lot of dedication, especially being able to balance out, the studies, work, and for you, family time, right?
Yes.
As a, can you explain like that balancing act, trying to cover family time
Oh
and like
yeah.
your professional career?
Sometimes it gets a little difficult, but I mean, having my wife who's also in the medical field, so we both kind of understand each other's schedules, but we always try to make time for like ourselves and our families. Uh, Trying to find like a good day when we're both off, spending some time together, and then on top of that, trying to find like a little bit of time to study. And she's been a lot of help with that too, because again, she's a nurse, so she's been helping me with that, and she's been a good help with me when it comes to like or showing up actually when it comes to doing all the balancing stuff. I couldn't do it on my own.
And I'm really happy to hear that because it really is a team effort to
Yes.
not only like raise a family, but to all the more like have that support system to help remind you to always be there to show up, right? But of course, that support system may or may not always be there, and sometimes we have to rely on being able to be prayerful, and of course, like rely within ourselves to try to push ourselves through whatever we're going through. And so I wanted to go ahead and ask now. What was there ever a time you almost didn't show up, but you pushed through, and that itself made the difference?
You can start off with it.
I would say like my job interview. So I was actually working at one hospital for about almost 5 years. I was very comfortable. I knew everything from in and out of the building to when I could schedule myself to do this and that. So I was pretty comfortable. But then at one point, I thought to myself, I've been doing the same thing over and over. And the nice thing about being in the medical field is that there's so many opportunities out there, and I felt like I was missing out on those opportunities. So I decided to apply for a job at another hospital to do something completely different. And I almost did not show up to that interview because I got scared because change is a big thing, especially when you're transitioning from jobs and like going from a job that you've been so comfortable with, you have seniority, to going to something that like completely new and you got to learn everything new. So it was a bit of a challenge, but I got through it, showed up to the interview, and I was able to get that job.
Being able to accept that change is necessary, it's the first step in being able to show up for yourself, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
congrats to you, Jomar, for wanting to make that change in life and for continuing pushing on. Chris, what about you?
For me, it's actually the same job interview as well. Like, I applied to this one place by my house, maybe like 5 minutes from my house. I didn't get accepted to that location, so that kind of bummed me out. But then I knew a manager. She actually goes to church as well, at a different location, and she got me an interview over there. And then after my interview over there, I got hired within like a week. So ever since that, like that has been my job now for it'll be 8 years in a couple of days actually.
Wow.
Yeah. I never thought I'd be there that long, but I mean here I am. So that's my story for that.
Yeah, also, man, it's hard to find people nowadays that are consistent, like to show that type of consistency and that loyalty to like with their job, right? And they obviously can see it because they take care of you. So like, kudos for you, man. I'm really happy for the both of you that you like, despite not wanting to show up sometimes, you found that motivation. You found the ability to be able to continue to do what you got to do, right? So I wanted to ask, right? So you mentioned Jamal before about your wife being there for you. I know for you, Chris, you have like your family there with you. I wanted to actually ask some specifics now, if it's still your wife, it's okay. But who was there for you, or who showed up for you in a powerful way, and how did that affect like the way that your life is right now?
I can start with this. So I love my wife very much, but the first person I actually thought of was my mom. Um, My mom, she actually took care of the four of us by herself, working two jobs. And you know how very difficult that can be. And I was in a lot of extracurricular activities at school. Like I was part of the soccer team, played baseball, was part of the orchestra. And even though my mom was, working the two jobs, overnight, during the day, she would always find time to be there at every event. And at that time, I was like, man, this is kind of embarrassing because I can hear her from the sideline, right? And I'm like, and then growing up thinking about it, I'm like, I really took that for granted. It's really how I live my life nowadays. Like with my kids growing up, like I've always wanted to be there for them, just like how my mom was for me.
That's honestly a very like powerful message, Gilmar. Like I think a lot of us can relate to that. Yeah, Chris, what about you?
For me, I'm not trying to say the same things as Jamar here, but it is also my mom. She raised like three of us, and it's been tough. But like same thing as Jamar, she's been there for pretty much everything. I wasn't in a lot of extracurricular activities for school, but as I was growing up, I started to get more and more offices in the church, and she was always very supportive. And whenever I had to go to events when I couldn't drive yet, she'd be the ones taking me there and helping me out and getting everything that I need for it. So she's been it's been a very good blessing.
Yeah. I'm kind of moved into tears now, guys. Like I love it how we all can relate that our mothers have been a very influential part of our life, and that I'm really happy that we can lean towards our parents or even our mothers to be able to find that strength whenever we need it, and for them to be like the example of showing up whenever we need to and making sure that we get the things that we need to get done. For all of our mothers in the chat, we thank you so much for everything that you do to take care of us. I know we're crazy, but that's okay. We're good crazy. And so to transition into that, right, we want to thank our viewers for tuning into our first part of our show. Now we're actually going to playing a quick game with our panelists here. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, so for everyone, I'm going to be asking a series of questions or giving them a list of scenarios of events that they would be potentially going to. And I'm going to ask them, would you still go if, et cetera, et cetera. And they're going to give me a short response on why or why not they would go. You guys ready?
Yep.
So for everyone in the chat, as I read the questions, feel free to share your comments in our YouTube chat so we can feature your answers later on in the show. All right, guys, ready? So first things first, all right? So would you show up if you have no idea who's going to be there?
Yes.
Tough, right?
Me, I'm an introvert, but yes, I'd still show up because depending on the activities, free food later. So
That's true.
In all honesty, I'm an introvert too, so kind of would lean more to no. Because I don't know anyone there, so it's like, who can I build a conversation with? But, I mean, missed opportunities, right? Make new friends. For me, I was like, eh.
Yeah, for me, I'm more on the extroverted side, so maybe it depends on like what the event is and if there's food afterwards. Right. So the next scenario, would you show up still if your speech notes got deleted 5 minutes before?
That's happened to me before. Because I would say yes, only because at that time it was like really important for my grade. It was my final. So I remember staying up that night and I was rehearsing. I had all my notes, and for some reason it just all got deleted. And my class was like in 30 minutes, so I couldn't redo it. So I'm like, all right, this speech class, I can wing it. Let's see what I do. And I actually passed. Yes, I would.
Snap to the chat for that. Chris, what about you?
Ooh, I'm terrible at public speaking, but if it's for a grade, then yeah, you obviously have to. There have been times where like some things have gotten deleted, where like part of my notes, not everything, thankfully, but where it's already in my mind, so I can. Well, I always hope that I can transition to whatever I need to talk to.
Right, and same for me too. It's I've had experience where I lost my notes. I wrote them down, but I lost them, and so I had to actually step up in front of stakeholders and present a presentation on the project. And thank the Lord that we were able to get through it. And so, next one, and the last one actually, would you still show up if only 3 people are in the audience?
Yes. Again, I don't like speaking in front of people. So with 3 people, it's doable. With like versus 100 people, right? That's what I always think of.
Yeah, 3 people is a lot easier. I think you can have a more, I don't know, you can say more intimate conversations since it's only 3 people, and you can try and relate to whatever you're talking to more with them, since it's not a huge audience.
Yeah, and like I know I was taught in the performing schools back in my old school that even if it's 3 people, they still came for the experience. So we need to be able to give them the best experience possible, right?
Yeah.
And so thank you everyone for tuning in to our quick game. For everyone in the chat, we'll go ahead and read your comments later on in the show. I believe we actually have a little bit of a gain issue, a feedback issue. So we're going to take that taken care of real quick. So just a quick shout out to our viewers from Anna Heimbach. Wow, you are echoing bro Mark. Okay, yeah. I do have a loud voice. I say so myself. From our very own Jill San Antonio. Yes, we're looking forward to watching all of our amazing and talented performers tomorrow. Again, everyone, please support our musical evangelical mission tomorrow. Everyone is so excited to be able to showcase their talents for our upcoming evangelical mission. And so, I think that's a great transition actually into the next part of our discussion, which is being able to live the power of showing up, right? That musical evangelical mission really is the manifestation of we got to be there because we put in so much work and nothing is going to stop us, right? I think that's like one of the cool things that's going to be happening tomorrow. And so, but it's not only just those big events, right? It's also the little things, right? So, sometimes the smallest act of kindness shows up in the biggest ways. Do you have any stories of those small acts of kindness?
Yes. It was for my graduation, my high school graduation. Um, it was when I was, it was after the entire graduation, and we were already walking back to where we can meet our families. And then as I was walking back, my dad he came from the crowd. I didn't know he was coming because he's been busy lately. And then he caught me while I was walking back, and then he gave me a present. And then I was just like so stunned that he was there. I was just like shocked. And then so I just brought it back with me. And then when I met with my family, I opened it up, and it was one of those wallets where you can have something engraved in it, and it had my name on it. And I was just like, I was like, wow. First thing with my name on it.
And I got me well, man. Like I feel that because then my family also does the same. They're not able to show sometimes because then they also have like their own busy schedules because of work. And so my family did the same. Like I was like, oh, yeah, that's how I feel you, man. Jamar, what about you?
This was back when I was in high school. My high school days was a long time ago. But I remember when I was on the tennis courts, there was a kid who didn't have a tennis racket and he was watching me. I said, if you wanted to play, I can always lend you my tennis racket. So we did. And then afterwards, I said, you know what, you can have it, right? And then actually come to find out, he joined the tennis team because I saw him at the same time. He was a freshman, I was a junior. Joined the tennis team and he told me that he joined because he loved it so much after that day we played. So it was inspiring. I'm like, this is why I keep playing tennis. This is why I can do what I do. So.
That's actually pretty relatable to me because then I remember playing in the Philippines. I would have shoes, new basketball there because in the States, and then my neighbors all they had was just their sandals and like a worn out ball, and so I couldn't take the basketball home with me for obvious reasons, and so then I ended up giving the youngin and the new ball, and it turns out like years later he's playing college now.
Wow.
Yeah, since he was able to actually use a decent ball. So I'm like, shout out to him for being able to show up and consistently pursue what he wanted to do.
Right.
And so it's small acts like that lead up to big changes in life, right? And so, but sometimes like even with all those acts of kindness, big or small, sometimes we feel like we want to quit because it might be the flame is either burning out or we just don't feel that we're up to it, right? And so my next question for you guys is, if someone listening today is ready to quit on like whether a dream or whatever they want to pursue, right? what story from your journey can you tell them and give them advice?
I can start with this. So, going back to my career, I was actually living when I lived back in St. Louis. I was going to school for engineering. I was almost done, and then I thought to myself, "Wow, I don't see myself doing this anymore, right?" So I actually stopped going or I stopped pursuing engineering. And at that time, I took a break, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my career anymore. Um, then, I at that time, I started to pray, and I was like asking God for signs. What should I do? Like, how should I continue to go with my life moving forward, with my career moving forward? And that's when I actually found going into nursing. Right? I didn't even see myself being a nurse, right, or doing anything in the medical field. And again, going back to my first story where I became a CNA, I took the class, took the program, and then started working in the hospital. That's when I started to find my love for, my career, my love for what I wanted to do, and that was to help people. So for those who feel like they want to quit or they're ready to quit, don't, right? Because when one door closes, another door opens, right? Especially when you pray, God will always show you the way. That's what I always thought, and it may be tough, but if you endure and you pray, you wait, something will come.
I love that. When one door opens, another one. Or one door closes, another one opens. So I love that a lot, Jamar. Chris, what about you?
Okay, so for me, if someone feels like giving up, I have to agree with Jamar. Don't, because like what people say, like the journey is always the hard part, and then the destination, excuse me, is always worth it. Because yes, we're gonna struggle like here and there. Obviously, that's life. It's not easy. But then once you get to your end goal, like to the career that you want to do, that you love to do, it won't feel like you're doing work at all. It'll just be another just having fun. So it's doing something that you always love to do.
And I love that. Trying to tie it to your passions and trying to make sure that what you're doing in life is something that you really enjoy. And so, Chris, shout out to you, man. I think we resonate on a lot of things, and that's why we're good friends, even outside of things, right? And so, I'm glad that our viewers are able to hear your stories, right, and to be able to learn and understand that what does it take to not quit, right? Prayer is one, just being able to love what you do, right? But sometimes we need just a little bit more than that, right? We need to be able to do more in order to be able to continue to show up, right? So, but looking back, right? Uh, there's a moment for you guys that made you continue to show up. It's always that moment that usually pushes everyone to continue to do what they love or to continue to do what they're wanting to pursue. What was that moment for you guys that you just like, oh yeah, I'm in, I'm locked in, I'm gonna keep showing up? What was that moment for you guys?
For me, that moment, I think it was when I first became a district Kadiwa officer inside the church. Like, I never, like, just being like Kadiwa, I never thought I'd ever be a district Kadiwa officer in general. But then once I became that district Kadiwa officer, the more friends I made throughout the district, and then the more activities I entered, and then the more fun I had. Just doing church things. Like it was more fun. Like you're more inclined to go because I'm gonna see my friends there, and we're gonna all do this together, and it's just a wonderful feeling to have.
And I totally agree because that's how I actually started my district career. So then, at first, I didn't want to be a district officer because I just wanted to help my locale. At the time, our locale was 1,000 strong, and so we needed all the help in the locale we can get. But then, I learned about the world outside of my locale, and then I met all of my friends in the district. Shout out to Northwest California if you're tuning in, by the way. So, I've met so many people, and that is definitely one of the main reasons why I get to do what I do as well. Jamar, what about you? What was that moment for you?
I think that's like for me, it's going all the way back to actually converting to the church. Because before I didn't have a real purpose in life. I didn't know what to do. Um, But then when I joined, that was like 10 years actually. It's next month, on my 10-year anniversary.
Congrats, Jamar. Congrats.
So once joining the church, I was inspired like by just the brethren, like seeing them how they were so active, how their faith was so strong, and then that actually inspired me to do more. So that's why, as I continued on my journey as a member, I started, taking up offices, helping the local, and then just recently helping now the district as a district officer. So it's been a great journey, right? And thank God, I'm here, being able to perform my duties and being here with you guys, right?
And Jamar, I think we can say the same. Where thank you for what you do for our district, and thank you guys both for what you guys do for the district. Really, like we don't get to have these moments a lot. So being able to hear your moments of strength, your moments of weakness, and then being able to build up on that, it's awesome to be able to know that my brothers in faith continue to show up despite whatever they're going through because of the moments that you've had, and it keeps you guys going. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on the show.
No, thank you so much, Mark.
Hey, you're a blessing to have as well, Mark.
It's always a pleasure.
You're always doing a lot, so I mean, it's the least that we can do for you.
And thank you for everyone that continues to show up for our show. And we want to all the more thank you by continuing to read some comments in the live chat. So from Louis Angeles, happy viewing brethren from the local Bakersfield. Jordan and Enrique, hello, brother Alex. From Alex and Ariola. Oh, Jordan, hello from Long Beach. Oh, and we have Long Beach viewers here today. From Jordan Enrique, happy viewing from Silicon Valley. Oh man, we have a lot of viewers here from different places. We have OCC in the house from Bless Uban Hypermarket. Oh, Bless, Bless, how are you? Nice seeing you on the chat. From Ita Jose, hi, Sister Susan, mother of Mark Marenko in Bakersfield. Is my mom here? Mom? Wait, is she here actually? Wow. Okay. Well, there you have it. So, before we end the show, right? First, I want to thank you guys again so much for taking the time to be here on a Friday night. Thank you to all of our viewers for taking your time to join us on a Friday night, and for all the more wanting to show up, especially when the times are tough. And in addition to that, we want to thank our station manager, Brother Wally Tarai, to our Deputy Executive Minister, Brother Angelo Arandu, and of course to our dearest Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Vimanalo. Thank you so much for all that you do, for leading us in the church, and all the more letting us have and guiding us to have programs just like this. And so for all our viewers, we thank you so much. We want to continue to all the more inspire you to continue to show up in everything that you do. So all the more you can continue to open many more doors that leads to many more successes and victories in your life. And with that being said, this has been INC Radio, Central Valley, California, signing off. Everyone have a good night.